One of my sons is a landscaper, and last year it was a particularly warm summer, and I remember shouting out to him every time he went out the door, "Fella, you got to cream up," and he consistently didn't. And then he rattled off a whole load of reasons why he doesn't. Because it leaves a white residue, it smells of coconuts, I sweat and it rolls down my face and into my eyes and it stings. All of the bottles are orange or yellow and they got a koala on the front that's got a sombrero on it, and I don't want to get it out with the guys at work. I couldn't find anything literally in the market that was aimed at guys that addressed his concerns around the makeup of the actual product itself, or where he could buy it in terms of accessibility, but there was nothing readily available. So I was like, maybe we should do something about this.
My guest today has a simple mission: to design a better future. A clear vision we share at WGSN. So today we're starting with a conversation about why men don't wear sunscreen. Stick with me. We live in a world that's quite literally getting hotter, having an impact on everyone's health today and tomorrow. Skin cancer's on the rise, but men in particular are ignoring the risks. Today, my guest, Russ Oliver, one of the founders of DIC, Don't Ignore Cancer, will discuss why he's doing his bit to try to change the world for the better. I'm Carla Buzasi, CEO of WGSN, the world's leading trend forecasting company. You're listening to Lives of Tomorrow, the WGSN podcast about how we'll live our lives in the future. Russ, a big welcome to the podcast. I'm a fairly lazy podcast host, so can you introduce yourself to the listeners?
I'm Russ. I'm joining you today with my hat on from Don't Ignore Cancer, which is a startup initiative of some great guys that we've clustered together to try and address the issue of skin cancer amongst men and what we can do about it.
Okay, so let's start right from the top. Why have you got a cluster of men focused on this? It sounds like something very important, but is there a sort of personal backstory? Where did it come from?
I appreciate this is a podcast so people can't see me, but if you could see me, you would understand I have 4 kids, hence the haggard look. One of my sons is a landscaper, and last year it was a particularly warm summer, and I remember shouting out to him every time he went out the door, "Fella, you got to cream up," and he consistently didn't. So I sat him down one evening and said, "It's really important you start to wear sun cream. It's really hot out there. This isn't good for you." And then he rattled off a whole load of reasons why he doesn't. Because it leaves a white residue, it smells of coconuts, I sweat and it rolls down my face and into my eyes and it stings. All of the bottles are orange or yellow and they got a koala on the front that's got a sombrero on it, and I don't want to get it out with the guys at work. Lots of different reasons. So I was like, that's fine, I'll go and get you something. It's really important that you cream up out there because it's getting hotter, our summers, the UV values are getting stronger. It's important, mate, you look after yourself. I was pretty naive 18 months ago, and I'd always been in the stance where I don't need it. I was a classic guy. No, I'm cool. Anyway, so I went out to try and find him some protection. I couldn't find anything literally in the market that was aimed at guys that addressed his concerns around the makeup of the actual product itself, or where he could buy it in terms of accessibility, because he isn't going to bowl into Boots with his mates or Superdrug necessarily. So I started to talk to some of my colleagues and said, I can't believe it. I went to get some sun protection, for my son, and I can't find anything. And everyone's stance was, no, I'm sure there's some out there. So people dived in and had a look, and there was some specific ones aimed if you're into extreme sport, blah, blah, blah. So those, but there was nothing readily available. So I was like, maybe we should do something about this. Hence the start.
Wow. Amazing. Okay. All right. So here at WGSN, we actually, it was earlier this year, we created a men's skincare forecast. So we do these every single year, but we're always looking a few years ahead. And we focused in and stressed the importance of creating accessible hybrid sunscreen moisturizers. Now, clearly not many of our clients have taken this on board yet, because you're not finding it out in the market. So now you're on this journey, how are you solving the problem, or who are you getting to solve the issues that you have found for your son's age group?
So I think it's important to recognise that there isn't a one size fits all. Predominantly we're focused on guys that aren't into that male grooming process. So there are moisturizers that have some SPF factors in that some guys will put on in the morning or at the point they get out of the gym or whatever, and that's absolutely fine. So that gives us a level of protection. It is also true that if you're applying sun cream because you're outside and therefore you're exposed to the UV rays, the typical advice you should reapply it every 2 hours. So most people aren't doing that either. So the fact they put it on once in the morning doesn't necessarily mean that they're protected throughout the course of the day. So there's a little bit of education there. There's also the reality that for most of those people who work outside in particular, they are sweating, therefore the need to apply it regularly. Their access to be able to get hold of products, so it's not just product in the market, it's how do you get hold of that product. And if they're working outside, so they may well be going into a DIY outlet without putting any names on it on a regular basis, but they're not going into a high street store to stop and go and browse through the selection of sunscreen. So it's not just the product itself. It's also the routes to market. How do we get this route to market? And so we're trying to be creative around that as well. It's recognizing that 80% of sun protection is currently bought by women. That's really important as well. So we're not ignoring the fact that women are a major part of this audience, and that for lots of women, they're buying on behalf of their families, their partners, their husbands, their friends, whatever. We were fortunate enough to do a soft launch of this product at the Skin Protection Conference, which is a global conference, happens every 2 years in London, and we were fortunate enough to be given some space on the stage. And there were points as well as the humour in terms of our campaign, because that's part of how we're addressing this issue. There was lots of positive feedback from the floor, from industry experts, from dermatologists around the world who are female, who are saying, even though I'm in this industry, I still can't get my son, my partner, my husband to put on sun protection. Their stance is, no, I'm okay. And it's great that someone's actually doing something and addressing it head on. So even from industry experts, there is an issue within the family that blokes, and this is a massive generalization, just have the term, I'm okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is actually, it's much broader than just sun protection, right? What you've just said probably could be about all sorts of different, checking for cancers and, weight, cholesterol, blood pressure, all of those kind of things. So you've come in at one angle, but clearly there's potential maybe to try and make this even more transformational.
So I think you've highlighted that blokes in general have quite a lot of issues that we're not very good at talking about. And addressing, and that is changing, and it's changed a lot in the last few years. And we've also been talking to Calm, which was initially a men's mental health charity. It's now inclusive, so it it's
I didn't even know that it had started specifically for men.
So it's specifically for men, because the biggest killer of guys in the UK under 40 is unfortunately today is still suicide if you're taking their own lives. And that's because we're not very good about talking about this stuff. So the starting point for guys, it isn't just around sun protection, is I'm okay. That's just a starting point for guys. So it's a cultural thing. And whether it's real or perceived, it's a thing that guys just start with, I'm okay. And the reality is they may not be. It may be that they feel they should be because that's the persona they should give off. It could be a generational thing. It could be a sense of protection around their family. It's a sense of identity that, I should be able to solve this. And we can't. We're human and we haven't got all these answers, and it's really difficult, and they're tough spaces. And I think the world's changing, and we're enabling guys to have these conversations. And this is part of that conversation. So we are looking holistic to say, so whilst we've launched this as a business, because we think that's sustainable and we understand how to do business, it's not a charity. It has a social purpose. This is a business with a social purpose, and part of that purpose is we have to educate men. So the challenge we have, it's not just filling a need in the marketplace, it's also educating men around the need. And the other challenge that goes with that is that most people that develop any form of skin cancer is often later on in life because they've had so many strikes, but it's not until they're in their late 40s, 50s. So that, again, is countercultural, that when you talk to a generation that is used to, if they want something, they want it now, or if there's no impact now, well, I don't have to worry about it because I'm indestructible, which is what lots of people feel when they're in their teens, 20s, 30s. It's not until you get older you start to realize your body's not. And this, again, is kind of given the UV values. Unfortunately, with the environment, it's not going to change anytime soon. this is a time bomb, and statistically,
storing up future world problems,
Yeah.
which means someone's got to start fixing them
Yeah.
now, but you're not necessarily going to see the benefit of them for, a couple of decades.
well said,
maybe.
Carla.
So how are you going about it?
So our challenge is people's starting point is there's lots of sun cream in the marketplace. If you go to any of the classic retailers we talked about, there will be shelves, right, of different. But we recognise that the majority of those aren't aimed at guys. So also we understand from a founder's perspective, because we're blokes, we fit in those categories. And because we're at that life stage where we have kids as well, we're highly motivated to try and get this right. We've tried to be fairly innovative with our brand. So we started with a phrase. So one of the founders, when we were talking about this, was saying, what we're trying to do is to just embody that phrase of, look, don't be a dick. Just put on sun cream. What's the harm? Just don't be a dick. Why would you not? This is, for 85% of skin cancer cases is totally preventable. 85%, and 58% of those who develop skin cancer in the UK are guys. So 20% UK population is forecast to get skin cancer. 58% of those are guys. It's more prevalent amongst guys. Don't be a dick. Just put it on before you go run, before you play football, before you cut the grass, before you walk the dog. All these things. Just don't go, no, I'm okay. This isn't just something you use for 2 weeks during the summer, or if you've got kids and you're trying to plaster your kids with it in a sunlift on your hands, you just inadvertently just put it on your face, or you're trying to be a bit of a role model and go, well, I'm going to put it on. Yeah, no, this is something you need to build into your routine. In 2025, the UV values would have meant that you should have worn some form of sun protection for 217 days in the UK. So when you start to look at it in that context, this is something that has to become a daily routine. We have to change people's behaviours, and most of us have habit patterns. So we need to start creating good habits as well as the bad that we've all got, that we're all trying to deal with, that we get a list at January and say, these are all the bad habits I'm going to deal with. This is one of those. So how can we bed it in? And for guys to get this as a conversation, we've decided to use humour in that respect. So it came from don't be a dick. We were like, well, we surely, we clearly can't launch a product called Dick, because that's going to have a whole load of connotations and give us a load of problems potentially. But DIC, so we make a bit of a play like some of the clothing brands that use, that have done similar. We thought, well, we could do that. So that was sort of the thinking. Then I was speaking to my sister who works in the NHS, and and I said, oh, it's going to be called Dick. And she says, does Dick stand for Don't Ignore Cancer? And I was like, well, it does now.
It does now.
So the whole voyage was like, we definitely don't want to alienate people, but we want some level of humour. We have to have people stop, and we can't just blend in with other products and other offerings in the market. And the challenge we have now, so we're trying to use that humour. We're trying to keep that line, that humour where it's appropriate. And so the packaging's important, how we've just it. The brand's important. The fact then the actual product itself, the scent is important. The fact it doesn't leave a white residue. The fact it's a 30. So all those sort of things. So we're going about it in a way that we want to try and use humour to engage with this audience. That's our angle.
So are you using your landscaping son as the sort of your test case? Like, if he accepts this and he's prepared to take it on a job, then you'll know that you've succeeded.
I've got 2 sons and 2 daughters. The 2 sons, one, he's been using the product that we've got in terms of samples out during the summer, and it's worked really well alongside his colleagues. My other son's been taken out at golf and football, and it's worked really well. So we've taken it into lots of scenarios with lots of people. We've had really positive feedback about the texture, about the absorbency, about the smell, the fragrance. It's fresh.
Who did you get to make it? I'm presuming you're not a sort of biochemist by background, although forgive me if I'm
not.
wrong.
I don't know that I'm actually. So they're a big manufacturer. They manufacture lots of products for high street retailers, high street brands. On a white label basis. We went and spent some time with them. Some of the people on the team are very experienced in this space in terms of their retail backgrounds. and also developing brands and products in space. So whether it's P&G or Unilever that X those guys, So we've gone and we've found a 5-star organization that can make the product. It's white labeled. We've used testing houses that are really thorough and highly recommended, because there's lots in the industry at the moment around the SPF.
Yes, and actually whether you're getting the number that you think you're buying into.
So we absolutely are. So this is a 5-star product, which has cost us money to get to this point, and we've got the Boots 5-star on it as well, etc. So there's lots of things that we've chosen to go to market and go, this is not a cheap product that we're going to give away.
Yeah.
This is a quality product that if you use this will add the layers of protection you need.
Yeah.
And then with the education alongside it. So we want to launch a product that educates guys, that is suitable, that addresses the concerns that have been raised from those of which we've spoken to.
Okay, right. We're going to pause for a second because we always do these quickfire questions to try to get to know you a little bit better. Don't overthink them. First thing that comes into your head. Okay, choose one: sauna or full Turkish barber experience?
Sauna.
Least favourite grooming gift to receive?
A nasal hair remover.
Very good answer. The piece of tech that helps you in your life or business that you couldn't live without?
Probably my daughter.
Aww. That's so sweet. Okay, this is a new question. This is kind of, I imagine we're going to ask lots of our guests this one, but it's a new one. Something you'd share about yourself in the first 3 minutes of a TED Talk?
I'm going to come across quite soppy here, because I'd probably talk about my wife and the fact that we've been married for 30 odd years, and I think it's getting better.
Okay, back to the task in hand then. So, do you think, because this podcast is all about the future, do you think attitudes are going to change? And let's keep this quite broad at the moment. Do you think men are going to get better at being open with their feelings and better at caring less about what their mates think?
It isn't going to be easy for lots of people going forward. And that change comes with uncertainty, and people find uncertainty difficult. So I think it's going to continue to be a challenging world going forward. I think there's a lot more focus and understanding around the needs of us as humans and our support, and how lots of who we are is interweaved in terms of what we do and who we are is quite intrinsically linked. And I think what we do, because of how society is changing, because advances in technology, that will fundamentally come back to who we are, because those things are going to change. So I think all that is going to put lots of opportunity for debate and conversation and bring it to the forefront as people start to navigate that. This is not an issue that's going to go away. UV exposure is going to increase because UV values are going up. So therefore, we're going to start seeing people affected by skin cancer a lot earlier. At the moment, it's typically late 40s, early 50s, because that constant exposure is going to become, that is going to get younger. So I think behaviour will change over time, but that's part of our challenge is, to get behaviour change at 18, 20, 25, when they're not going to know for 25 years whether we've been successful. That's really challenging.
Every generation changes. That's a kind of basic thing to say, but your generation has acknowledged, because you're seeing the impact of it, and your generation talks more and shares more than the generation beforehand, and then you see that go up and down because we learn from the people that we spend time with. You're educating the generation below you. They are now growing up with that knowledge, which means that it should become more natural when they have kids and what they need to do for them. I'm interested in your thoughts again about, do you think as sort of Gen Z comes up that they'll just be more open and less tied to the gender norms that have been there for millenniums?
All of us should be looking over our shoulders saying, how can we pass on what we've learned? How can we make it easier for going forward? How can we stop people tripping up? If we can continue to encourage that sense of responsibility, really, as there is, all of us, there is a role to play in terms of succession, and we should do that well. But that's quite big, for people to get their heads around. This isn't a slam dunk, and we're challenging a norm that sits out there. There has to be something more than we think we can make some money out of this to start this journey out of lifestyle. So we're very much about, given our own personal experiences, given the life stage we're at, given those that we have in our lives and around us, we think we can make a difference to thousands of people. We think we can save some lives. We think we can help educate. We think we can do it in a manner that hasn't been done today. Our challenge now is to encourage the retailers to be brave, because they don't know who we are. We haven't got brand recognition. I haven't got a bundle of celebs standing around me holding up a bottle saying, do this. Those things may come, but this moment in time, we need to get suitable product through suitable locations, and therefore we need that whole ecosystem to stand with us. And if the existing products were reaching this audience in the right way, we wouldn't be here today, and they're not.
So I understand, sort of partnerships are part of your role as well as founding this and everything else. Are there any that you can share at this moment in time?
So Skin is an organisation that spends a lot of time in schools helping to educate young people around this, as well as other bits they do. So they're extensive, they're brilliant. And then British Cycling, a shout out to a colleague there, James, who they have been brave, that they've recognised that also as an organisation that to participate in British, to be part of British Cycling typically means you're on a bike, which probably means you're outside, which therefore means that whilst you should also be taking a puncher kit with you and all the other things that they would advocate you do and put a helmet on and all the rest of it, you should actually be creaming up before you get outside. They also recognise that there's lots of events over the summer where thousands of volunteers help those participating in those events, who they also have a duty of care. So with the British Cycling, they've been very innovative and brave in the same way. And so they recognise that there's lots of people around their sports and participation that they have a duty of care for, to at least educate.
Fantastic. Just are you considering the vanity angle at all with your campaigns? And has that come up in conversation forget the fact this might give you cancer, but it's also going to age you?
If you look at the promotion of a lot of male grooming products, they have somebody who's quite buff with white teeth promoting their products, and that's not wrong, right? And I understand that for lots of us, lots of what we do is aspirational. Now there has been a pushback against that in recent years as well, around the size of models, the type of models, the skin tones of models, lots of different stuff that are used to sell products in a certain way. So we recognise that we don't want to be dismissive of that. That's important for some. So we want to be inclusive of everybody, so we want this product to be available to everybody, and it's a choice, right? So we can't dismiss that for a percentage, whatever percentage that sells product, it helps reinforce an image. It helps them in terms of, hey, this is going to help you, to stay younger, because that's sun protection. It acts as a moisturizer as well, all that sort of things. So we definitely are conscious of that. It's the weighting of that, I suppose, is what we're debating. So if you look at our site at the moment, they're not, the images there aren't of standard guys.
No, but you're trying to stand out, right? And that's really important.
Yeah, and it's trying to add a bit of humour as well, and trying to say it's for, for everyday person on the street, as opposed to it's going to make you look like something else. But so that is a live debate amongst us as a team. We will find some ground in the middle there that ensure that we will have probably more targeted campaigns at certain points. At the moment, because we're keeping this really simple, we're saying, look, to get any product on any guy is better than nothing. So we're going in at 30. We've got one product, we've got one application,
Super
which
simple.
is spray.
Yeah.
We're going at alternative routes to market as opposed to just the high street.
It's really, really interesting. I love the branding. I think it is very, very distinctive. And I can see it definitely standing out on the shelf. So my final question for you, are you more anxious or hopeful about the future?
Hopeful. I started this year. I try and start a year with some sort of purpose, or mantra, I guess, in some sort. And this year I wanted to start. I wanted to be hope-filled, not hopeful.
That's lovely. Hope-filled, not hopeful.
So because hopeful always leaves you. And if you've worked with me in some of the projects we're involved with, sometimes there's lots you go at and it doesn't come off, and it's easier to feel that hope like drain away. And so I wanted this year to be different, and it's kicked in with us launching this product. So I wanted to be hope-filled, so not just hopeful. So that's the way I'm approaching life at the moment. I want to be hope-filled.
Thank you so much to Russ Oliver, founder at Dick, Don't Ignore Cancer. Please check out our other podcast, Create Tomorrow, with my colleague Cassandra Napoli. Thank you all for now. I'll return with a new episode of Lives of Tomorrow in 14 days. My name is Carla Buzasi. I'm the CEO of WGSN. I'll see you next time.